Have you ever wondered which Hollywood legends lived for pleasure as much as they did for fame? In this explosive countdown, we unmask 25 of cinema's most daring divas and heartthrobs whose appetites made headlines. From silent-era vamps to modern-day screen sirens, each story reveals how desire shaped their destinies. Buckle up and hit that like button. You won't believe number 1. Mae West 1. Long before the term nympho entered pop culture, Mae West was redefining sexual freedom on and off screen. In the 1930s, she flooded Hollywood with double entendres and bawdy one-liners. Is that a gun in your pocket? Or are you just happy to see me? Being the most famous. Behind closed doors, West's unapologetic appetite for romance rivaled her on-screen bravado. She openly admitted to philandering husbands and countless lovers, insisting that it's not the men in your life that counts, it's the life in your men. While scandal sheets whispered about her affairs with both studio execs and rising stars, West maintained strict control over her narrative, rewriting scripts and studio contracts to protect her image and royalties. This fierce independence extended to her personal life. She chose partners for pleasure, first companionship, or business connections, all while crafting a persona that celebrated female desire. In an era when women were expected to be chaste, Mae West blazed a trail of seduction and power that still resonates today. Marilyn Monroe 2. Marilyn Monroe's breathy voice and come-hither gaze weren't just movie magic, they were the hallmarks of a woman in control of her sexuality. On set, she perfected a hyper-feminine innocence that hid a fierce hunger for attention and affection. Behind the scenes, Monroe's high-profile marriages barely contained her search for intimacy. Rumors swirled of clandestine encounters with studio executives, fellow actors, and even government figures. Friends later recounted Marilyn's boundless curiosity about sex, confessing to as many as 21 lovers in 1 year alone, a number she never truly denied. Yet her erotic openness was tinged with vulnerability. Monroe sought validation through desire, using her body as both shield and weapon in a male-dominated industry. Her story remains a poignant reminder of how Hollywood's brightest stars sometimes burn hottest and fastest. Jayne Mansfield 3. Jayne Mansfield exploded onto the silver screen in the mid-1950s as Hollywood's blonde bombshell answer to Marilyn Monroe. Mansfield openly boasted of her conquests, treating her scandalous private life as free publicity. She once quipped that, "I've been more tramp than a steel-toed mule in this town," yet demanded tabloid coverage of every roll in the hay. Mansfield's marriages and affairs were the fodder of gossip columns, from marriages that ended in fiery public divorces to rumored rendezvous with rock stars and athletes. She leveraged her sexual image to secure roles in risque comedies and burlesque shows, often performing live strip-tease acts to packed nightclubs. Her fearless embrace of sex made her a pioneer of adult branding, long before the term existed. Though her tragic death in 1967 cut her story short, Mansfield's legacy as Hollywood's most outrageous nymphomaniac lives on in the tabloids she so loved. Rita Hayworth 4. Dubbed the Love Goddess, Rita Hayworth's on-screen sensuality was matched by her tempestuous personal life. From her tumultuous marriage to Orson Welles, strained by his jealousy over her affairs, to secret liaisons with politicians and producers, Hayworth's passion spilled beyond her film roles. She famously told a friend, "I've had 300 lovers, and not one of them could please me." Hayworth's candid confession sparked scandal, but also solidified her reputation as a woman who pursued pleasure on her own terms. Underneath her glamorous facade, however, Hayworth struggled with self-worth, using seduction to feel valued in a harsh industry. She navigated a series of ill-fated marriages and volatile romances, each rumored to have ended in betrayal or heartbreak. Despite this, her ability to harness desire fueled her climb to stardom, ensuring that Gilda would forever remain synonymous with irresistible allure. Marlene Dietrich 5. Marlene Dietrich was the ultimate cinematic seductress, a woman who weaponized her bisexual reputation to climb Hollywood's ladder. In the 1930s and 40s, Dietrich cultivated a scandalous mystique by openly flouting conventions. She wore men's tuxedos, kissed female admirers in public, and reveled in whispered rumors of her dalliances with both genders. Her wartime broadcasts to German troops cemented her icon status, but stories of backstage trysts with starlets and aristocrats fueled endless speculation. Dietrich once trolled the press by staging a faux romance with a duchess, delighting in the resulting headlines. Beyond the sensationalism, Dietrich's bold sexuality was an act of rebellion against a patriarchal studio system, asserting her autonomy in a world that sought to control her image. Her unapologetic embrace of desire, regardless of societal norms, paved the way for future generations of Hollywood's fiercest free spirits. Ava Gardner 6. Ava Gardner's smoldering eyes and velvet voice masked a torrid love life that became as legendary as her films. From her whirlwind marriage to Mickey Rooney, marked by jealous rages and alleged infidelity, to her passionate love affair with Frank Sinatra, Gardner's relationships crackled with intensity. She confided to friends that Sinatra knew every inch of her, but even he couldn't tame her need for excitement. Gardner's list of dalliances read like a who's who of 1950s heartthrobs: Clark Gable, Howard Hughes, and countless others. Yet behind the glamour was a woman haunted by insecurity, seeking emotional refuge in the arms of powerful men. Her wild oats sowed tales that followed her into later years, making her one of Hollywood's most notorious sirens. Gardner's story reminds us that for some stars, the search for love often went hand in hand with the pursuit of fame and abandon. Elizabeth Taylor with 8 marriages and countless affairs. 7. Elizabeth Taylor redefined what it meant to live and love larger than life. From her teenage romance with Conrad Hilton Jr. to the scandalous liaison with married producer Mike Todd, Taylor's heart knew few boundaries. Her whirlwind courtship and divorce from Eddie Fisher in order to marry her friend Debbie Reynolds' husband Eddie Fisher ignited tabloid war. Taylor's famed diamond jewelry often doubled as bargaining chips in love. She once demanded engagement rings worth more than most people's salaries. She later described her lusty years as an education, crediting each affair for teaching her different aspects of desire and heartbreak. Amidst public scrutiny, Taylor wielded her sexuality as power, captivating audiences and suitors alike. Her unapologetic appetite and magnetic presence cemented her status as one of Hollywood's most voracious and unforgettable lovers. Brigitte Bardot, 8. Although French by birth, Brigitte Bardot stormed Hollywood's shores in the 1950s with a breathless sensuality that left an indelible mark. Bardot's on-screen roles in films like And God Created Woman showcased her erotic confidence, but her off-screen life was equally passionate. She was rumored to have had affairs with stars, directors, and even politicians, a list that allegedly included Jean-Paul Belmondo and Sacha Distel. Bardot once quipped, "I love men for what they are and not for what they may become," underscoring her candid approach to desire. She dated multiple lovers simultaneously, keeping each affair a carefully guarded secret until scandal magazines exposed the truth. While Bardot later renounced her sex symbol status in favor of animal rights activism, her early years remain a vivid testament to her unapologetic embrace of pleasure and freedom in a conservative post-war era. Sophia Loren 9. Sophia Loren's sultry gaze and statuesque beauty made her one of Italy's greatest exports, but her early Hollywood years were marked by romance and intrigue. Loren's love life included a long-term affair with producer Carlo Ponti before their eventual marriage, defying Ponti's legal entanglements and societal expectations. Behind closed doors, Loren was known to have charmed diplomats, artists, and fellow actors with equal fervor. She once admitted that, "Men have always treated me like an animal. My job is to tame them." Her seductive on-screen roles in Two Women and Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow mirrored her off-screen confidence, leading tabloids to speculate on passionate midnight meetings in secluded European villas. Yet, unlike many contemporaries, Loren always managed to balance sensuality with a grounded devotion to family, using her fame to secure opportunities for her children. Her career and romantic escapades prove that for Loren, sex appeal and savvy business sense were inseparable. Carole Lombard, 10. Before her tragic death in 1942, Carole Lombard was Hollywood's queen of screwball comedy and queen of scandalous romances. Known for her quick wit and electrifying smile, Lombard was married to Clark Gable, but kept a secret life filled with passionate flings. Biographers later revealed she carried on affairs with directors and leading men alike, insisting that love affairs are like vacations, beneficial but brief. Lombard's daring approach extended to the bedroom. She insisted on equal pleasure, shocking contemporaries who believed women should be demure. Her marriage to Gable tolerated mutual infidelities rather than jealous confrontations, a setup that shocked tabloid readers. Lombard leveraged her sex appeal to demand better roles and salaries, saying, "Why not get paid for what you've got?" This blend of savvy and sensuality makes her one of Hollywood's earliest, most unapologetic sexual pioneers. Tallulah Bankhead 11. Hollywood's most outrageous diva, Tallulah Bankhead, owned both stage and bedroom with equal flair. Bankhead famously quipped that, "I'd rather have a full bottle in front of me than a full frontal lobotomy," but it was her love life that truly scandalized Tinseltown. She openly admitted to affairs with both men and women, carrying on simultaneous dalliances and treating gossip as a sport. Bankhead's fiery union with John Emery dissolved amid rumors she seduced his best friends. Her later romances often ended in tabloid exposés. Despite her religious background, she saw sex as an art form, once declaring, "I savor every nuance of love." Rejecting Hollywood's attempts to tame her, Bankhead made her lovers as famous as her, often inviting them to her stage shows and press parties. In doing so, she cemented a legacy of fearless sexuality that few stars dared match. Pola Negri 12. Pola Negri brought old-world glamour and old-world rumors to 1920s Hollywood. The Polish actress's legendary affair with Rudolph Valentino remains cinema's most titillating secret. She claimed a vial of his ashes was buried with her. 12. Though unverified, this tale fueled gossip for decades. Negri's romances spanned studio moguls, European royals, and fellow actors. She once escaped paparazzi by sneaking out of a Beverly Hills mansion in Valentino's Cape. Her sultry performances in silent dramas mirrored her off-screen life of seductive empowerment. Negri demanded lavish gifts from lovers, jewels, furs, exotic pets, and flaunted them publicly, daring studios to censor her. As talkies arrived, her sensual mystique threatened Hollywood's moral guardians, but she refused to tone down her appetite, insisting, "Passion is the lifeblood of art." Negri's relentless pursuit of pleasure and power solidified her status as cinema's first great vamp and nymphomaniac. Gloria Swanson, 13. Silent film goddess Gloria Swanson parlayed her star power into a reputation for passionate indulgence. Known for burning romances with Cecil B. DeMille, Swanson later confessed to affairs with high-ranking politicians and European aristocrats. She famously quipped that a woman should never marry for money unless it's someone else's, reflecting her appetite for both love and luxury. Swanson's sexuality was strategic. She used her allure to negotiate final cuts of films and unrivaled contracts, demanding equal billing for my body and my talent. Behind her poised facade, Swanson held wild soirees where drinks and lovers flowed freely. Though later she cultivated a refined image on Sunset Boulevard, her insatiable youth-era reputation endured. Columnists counted her conquests as diligently as they did her box office hits. Swanson's blend of ambition and carnal curiosity cemented her as one of Hollywood's most irresistible and insatiable icons. Lana Turner, 14. From humble beginnings at a soda fountain to stunning screen ingenue, Lana Turner's ascent was fueled by as much scandal as talent. Discovered at 16, Turner soon became notorious for affairs that outshone her films. Her first marriage ended after she confessed to multiple dalliances. Tabloids gleefully chronicled rumored flings with Tyrone Power, Gary Cooper, and studio sheiks. Turner once joked, "I date as I shop. Anything that catches my eye is fair game." She leveraged her sexuality to extend her contract with MGM, insisting on top billing and lavish apartments. Turner's off-screen life reached fever pitch when her daughter, Lana Jr., fatally shot Turner's boyfriend, another explosive chapter in her tempestuous love life. Through it all, Turner embraced her image as Hollywood's ultimate temptress, proving that desire and drama sold tickets as surely as talent. Hedy Lamarr, 15. Hedy Lamarr's claim to fame may be her co-invention of frequency-hopping spread-spectrum technology, but in the 1940s she was celebrated, even reviled, for her erotic screen presence and off-screen liaisons. Dubbed the most beautiful woman in the world, Lamarr parlayed her looks into marriages with wealthy husbands, including munitions magnate Friedrich Mandl, whom she escaped by drugging him, some say, to flee Europe. In Hollywood, she pursued lovers ranging from producers to European royalty, insisting that sex is emotion in motion. Lamarr's relentless drive for novelty carried into her bedroom. She claimed to have tested her inventions in the boudoir, believing invention and passion were inseparable. Studios both exploited and feared her autonomy, at times relegating her to bit parts when her scientific reputation eclipsed her sensual one. Yet Lamarr never suppressed her desires or intellect, becoming a symbol of liberated female power in and out of bed. Lauren Bacall, 16. With her husky voice and sultry gaze, Lauren Bacall embodied a smoldering sexuality that set her apart from contemporaries. Discovered at 19, Bacall's affair and rapid marriage to Humphrey Bogart stunned Hollywood. She was still a teenager. Their marriage became the archetype of Hollywood romance, but Bacall's passions extended beyond Bogart. She later admitted to affairs with prominent artists and writers, using her allure to gain access to exclusive intellectual circles. Bacall quipped that she seduced men with "my voice before my body," reflecting her cerebral approach to desire. She resisted studio attempts to mold her into a demure ingenue, insisting on strong, independent roles. Bacall's blend of sensuality and intelligence proved that female sexuality could be both sexy and smart, a legacy that influenced generations of actresses after her. Clara Bow, 17. As the silent-era it girl, Clara Bow epitomized flapper rebellion and liberated sexuality. Bow's wide-eyed innocence on screen belied a voracious appetite behind the scenes. Known to host wild parties where she danced barefoot and romped through hotel suites, Bow claimed men found her untamed, an image she deliberately cultivated. Her open affairs with actors and musicians scandalized moralists and fueled fan obsession. 17. Bow once said, "I don't care what people think. I'll love who I want." Yet her promiscuity haunted her later career and personal life, contributing to nervous breakdowns. Despite struggles, Bow's fearless embrace of pleasure and freedom made her a trailblazer for women's sexual agency in Hollywood's early days. Anita Ekberg, 18. Swedish bombshell Anita Ekberg exploded onto the international stage with her iconic role in La Dolce Vita, but it was her off-screen exploits that fueled her legend. Ekberg was notorious for her whirlwind romances with Hollywood's elite, producers, directors, and co-stars alike. Insiders whispered of after-party trysts in Roman villas and secret midnight dalliances at the Beverly Hills Hotel. She openly admitted that her insatiable appetite for attention and affection sometimes sabotaged relationships. "I fall in love as often as I breathe," she told reporters. Ekberg used her sexuality as currency, negotiating higher pay and better roles by flaunting scandalous tabloid photos. At the height of her fame, she was rumored to have kept separate residences for discreet rendezvous, complete with hidden entrances. Behind her statuesque beauty, Ekberg struggled with the isolation that came from constant objectification, seeking solace in short-lived affairs rather than lasting love. Her story remains a cautionary tale of how unchecked desire and celebrity can blur the line between empowerment and emptiness. Jane Russell, 19. Dubbed Hollywood's hardest-working teenaged thespians, Jane Russell's sultry image was carefully crafted by studio boss Howard Hughes. Yet her personal life was equally audacious. By age 20, Russell had already rocked Tinseltown with her curves and her bed-hopping. She openly admitted to a string of affairs with co-stars, musicians, and high-society magnates. Russell once joked, "I've never met a good man who didn't like me," showcasing her playful approach to romance. She leveraged her libido to secure leading roles, demanding that directors emphasize her sensuality on screen. Despite her glamorous facade, Russell craved validation and genuine connection, confessing in interviews that her many lovers left her feeling more alone than ever. She eventually found stability in marriage, but the early years of unabashed exploration cemented her reputation as one of Hollywood's fiercest and most vulnerable sex symbols. Ursula Andress, 20. Swiss-born Ursula Andress became an international sex symbol after emerging from the ocean in a white bikini in the first James Bond film, Dr. Number Butt. Andress's off-screen life was every bit as electric as her on-screen debut. She openly pursued high-powered lovers, assuming affairs with Bond producer Harry Saltzman and fashion tycoon Gianni Agnelli. Andress believed that sex was her ultimate career tool. "If they think I'm interested, they'll keep calling," she quipped. She famously kept a roster of admirers in Hollywood and Europe, rotating through romances with enviable ease. Andress's unabashed embrace of her sexuality challenged conservative norms, but it also came at a cost. She struggled to find serious, lasting love amid the carousel of flings. Yet, she viewed her passion as an art form, a way to assert control in an industry that often tried to define and confine her. Gina Lollobrigida, 21. Italian screen goddess Gina Lollobrigida conquered Hollywood's hearts in the 1950s with films like Beat the Devil and Trapeze. Off-camera, her reputation for voracious romance grew even larger. Lollobrigida was linked to politicians, oil tycoons, and fellow actors, often simultaneously. She famously boasted of turning down marriage proposals simply because the men couldn't measure up to her standards of excitement and luxury. Lollobrigida used her allure as a negotiation tactic, demanding artistic control and profit participation in her films. She once quipped, "I must be spoiled. I always want the best lovers and the best roles." Her boldness extended to secret liaisons in Parisian penthouses and Mediterranean yachts, fueling a media frenzy that followed her every move. Though she eventually settled down, Lollobrigida's early unapologetic embrace of desire left a lasting impression on how female sexuality could be leveraged for both power and self-expression. Angelina Jolie, 22. Modern Hollywood's most notorious free spirit, Angelina Jolie, has long been scrutinized for her high-profile romances and rumored sexual adventurism. From her early wild child days dating rock stars to her lingering on-off relationship with ex-husband Billy Bob Thornton, complete with shared vials of blood, Jolie's love life read like a tabloid's dream. She embraced her sensuality as a weapon and shield, once saying, "Sex is power, and I wanted it." Jolie's stint directing Unbroken and her humanitarian work have since shifted focus, but her past remains emblematic of a woman who used desire to explore identity and autonomy. 22nd. Rumors persist of clandestine liaisons with co-stars and diplomats, casting a long shadow over her transition to director and mother. Jolie's journey shows how Hollywood's fascination with a woman's libido can both empower and pigeonhole, even for someone of her talent and status. Sharon Stone, 23. Sharon Stone's breakthrough in Basic Instinct catapulted her into the stratosphere of Hollywood's sexiest stars, and her private life only fueled the fire. Stone's seductive performances mirrored her off-screen adventures. She openly discussed affairs with co-stars and high-powered executives, and her steamy breakup with Michael Douglas made headlines. Stone once quipped, "I have a fierce libido," shrugging off scandalized whispers. She leveraged her sexuality to command record salaries, negotiating multi-picture deals that made her one of the highest-paid actresses of her time. Yet, beneath the glossy surface, Stone grappled with the cost of being constantly objectified, admitting in interviews that her search for genuine intimacy often ended in betrayal. Her story underscores the double-edged sword of using sex appeal as currency in Hollywood's high-stakes game. Pamela Anderson, 24. Canada's beach blonde export, Pamela Anderson, parlayed her Playboy fame into television stardom with Baywatch. Anderson's public and private lives were inseparable. Her marriages fizzled amid shocking sex tapes and tabloid exposés. She once lamented, "Everyone sees my body before they hear my voice," highlighting her frustration and fierce embrace of scandal. Anderson treated her sexuality as a form of rebellion and control, penning revealing memoirs and granting lucrative tell-all interviews. She viewed her high-profile romances as both performance and reality, using the glare of publicity to negotiate creative freedom, from producing her own shows to advocating for animal rights. Anderson's career demonstrates how a woman can reclaim and profit from a torrid reputation in an industry that often consumes and discards its most desirable stars. Catherine Zeta-Jones, 25. Welsh-born Catherine Zeta-Jones conquered Hollywood in the late 1990s with The Mask of Zorro and Chicago. But behind her poised persona was a private woman with a passionate streak. Rumors circulated of early flings with co-stars and clandestine late-night rendezvous in New York lofts. Zeta-Jones once confided to a friend that she embraced the power of seduction to ease the pressures of stardom. Though she later married Michael Douglas and cultivated a more conservative image, whispers of her adventurous past persist, from whirlwind European affairs to bohemian New York flings. Zeta-Jones's story illustrates how a modern star negotiates the legacy of sexual freedom, balancing genuine intimacy with the demands of a voracious public, showing that even today's Hollywood icons navigate the fine line between private desire and public persona. Thank you for joining us as we uncovered Hollywood's most audacious love lives. These iconic stars redefined desire, power, and scandal in Tinseltown's golden eras. Which story shocked you most? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more explosive insider tales.